can't believe this. I can't tell you anything. Every time I tell you something, everybody else knows about it. No, I'm mad.
What is up, everybody? It's Brandon coming at you live once again from Smith's Grove, and today I'm covering the 2007 trailer trash remake of Halloween, written and directed by Robert Zombie. And I'm going to be covering the theatrical version here because, let's face it, it's the much better version of the film. And I may mention some comparisons here, but for like full cut comparisons, there's some really decent videos up on YouTube that you can watch right after this, of course. Oh, also real quick, guys, I know I mentioned reviewing Twister at the end of Resurrection, and I still very much want to do that review. I'm sorry I'm not doing it right now, but I will get to that sooner rather than later. So now that that's all out of the way, let's get to it. So after the bullshit Dimension Films released on us with Halloween Resurrection, the producers of the franchise kicked around various ideas on how to proceed in a post-Busta Rhymes Halloween movie. With the success of Freddy vs. Jason, one pitch, and perhaps the biggest rumored project to never happen around that time, was a crossover between Hellraiser and Halloween. One pitch supposedly involved a young Michael Myers opening the puzzle box, being possessed with the curse of Sam Hain, or Samhain if you're picky, and eventually escaping hell. This would explain the source of Michael's murderous desires as well as his inability to die. The later half of the film, of course, would be the Cenobites pursuing him in true Cenobite fashion. It never got off the ground, however, because after an online poll drew a 52% disapproval rating, the project was cancelled. Many other unsuccessful proposals took place over the following couple years, with ideas including the return of Jamie Lloyd, the death of Busta's character Freddy, and the return of John Tate and Sheriff Lee Brackett, and even a prequel movie set in the early 80s during the events of Halloween 3. Unfortunately, though, tragedy struck in 2005 when Mustafa Akkad and his daughter were killed in the Amman hotel bombings in Jordan while attending a wedding. R.I.P. Mustafa's son Malik took charge soon after, but decided to take the series in a different direction by starting from scratch, basically. In June of 2006, it was announced that rockstar turned director Robert Zombie, or Rob if you know him personally, would be creating the next Halloween installment. After the success of House of a Thousand Corpses and the follow-up The Devil's Rejects, it seemed Zombie was never going to stop, so he jumped at the chance when approached by Bob Weinstein. Zombie would serve multiple roles during production of the film as writer, producer, director, and music supervisor. He did manage to create a bit of controversy out of the project with original writer and director John Carpenter, with claims that John seemed rather cold when Zombie called him up to get his blessing. Carpenter did say later during a Q&A in 2016, though, that he took issue with Zombie's remarks. He clarified that he told Rob to make it his own thing, but his main criticism of the film was that Zombie took away the mystique of Myers by diving too deep into his backstory. Zombie's intention for this backstory was to, quote, add new life to the character. He felt the character became too familiar to the audience, much like Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger have become, and as a result was much less scary. Now this is where I and most will agree with John. While I'm not as much of a purist as some might be, him explaining too much is what makes Michael less scary. Instead of making Michael a force of nature or supernatural force of evil, he adds a very grounded and mostly realistic take on Michael, with things like a bad home life and even school bullies helping shape him into the psychopath. Some things also changed or added in this version is Michael's inability to drive, Loomis's character development, why Michael feels he needs to wear masks, and the love and protectiveness Michael seems to show Laurie, originally named Angel in this movie and whom Michael nicknames Boo. Casting for the film includes Malcolm McDowell as a very different Dr. Loomis, the voice of Chucky himself Brad Dourif as Sheriff Lee Brackett, William Forsythe as Ronnie, Dag Farrick as Little Mikey Myers, Scout Taylor Compton as Laurie, Halloween alumni and returning star Danielle Harris as Annie, and because she has to be in all of his films, Rob Zombie's wife Sherry Moon Zombie plays Michael's mother Deborah. There's also a slew of other cameo roles in this film, most of which are returning Rob Zombie alumni from his films up to that point, and who I'll more than likely get to in just a little bit. The role for Big Mikey goes to Tyler Mane, and when I say big, that is big. Most probably already know this, but for those that don't, Tyler Mane is a 6'8" pro wrestler turned actor who you probably know best from prestigious films like X-Men and Joe Dirt. Nothing against Tyler here, but I'm really not a fan of this large imposing version of Myers. I find it's better when he's smaller, so it's much more of a terrifying shock when the dude that's about 5'11" or 6 foot can lift you off the ground. That said, he is very imposing, and since it mirrors real life a bit more and it's not a supernatural Myers, this version works best for this kind of movie, and the mask does as well. It's not my favorite, but it fits this style very well also, and it's still not the worst in the series. Production began in January of 2007 with filming occurring in the same neighborhood that Carpenter used for the original Halloween. On a budget of $15 million, Halloween was released on August 31st, 2007 to its widest release of any previous Halloween film yet, hitting well over 3,000 theaters and grossing around $80.4 million at the box office. Reviews were mixed amongst fans and critics alike. Some liked the realistic take on the character as well as the first half of the movie, praising the expanded backstory. At the same time, those who didn't like the film didn't like it for those same reasons. That feeling of supernatural dread was also missing and was instead replaced by overly violent imagery and trashy language. I seem to go back and forth on this film. Most of the time I need to be in the right mood to watch it, and luckily for you and me both, I feel like I'm in the mood right now. So that said, let's take a look inside the sanitarium at Rob Zombie's Halloween. The movie begins with a title card and a little god of thunder, but not the one you're thinking of. Inside, Sherry Moon's Deborah Myers is in the kitchen arguing with her shit boyfriend Ronnie, and right away we get that amazing Rob Zombie dialogue everyone loves, but not really.
Bitch, I will crawl over there and I will skull fuck the shit out of you!
Yeah, I'll just forewarn you now. Most of the dialogue in this movie, at least in the first half, is trash, and almost every character in this movie, especially in the first half, is detestable. We get more detestable comments from Ronnie about her eldest daughter Judith, who absolutely sucks in her own right, before finally getting introduced to the star of the show himself. We then get some more shit quality character development downstairs as Ronnie gives everyone even more of a reason to hate him, and so Rob Zombie can try and explore all the reasons some random weird looking kid can go bad. If his home life isn't enough of a reason, Michael also gets bullied at school by the ginger kid from Spy Kids, and after being cornered in the bathroom, this spy turned asshole shows Michael a lewd photo of his mom, who's a stripper in this movie. Why do you ask? Oh, you'll see why. Anyway, the commotion in the bathroom draws the attention of the school principal, who Michael immediately lashes out at.
Fuck you.
What did you say, son?
Deborah gets called down to the school shortly after and is introduced to a new hipster-looking version of Dr. Loomis, where him and the principal explain that while searching the contents of Michael's bag, they found another bag with a dead cat inside, as well as pictures of other dead animals. A confused Deborah naturally grows concerned, and Michael uses this opportunity to run. If this kid isn't on the spectrum, I'll kiss your ass. What the f*** is that? Michael retrieves his clown mask out of his locker and decides to stalk his bully on the way home. Michael surprises the bully in the woods with a giant tree limb and beats him to the point of tears. His pleas, however, fall on deaf ears, and Michael beats him to death, making it his first kill of the movie instead of his sister. Later, Michael is sitting in the living room with Ronnie watching TV while Ronnie continues to talk to him like shit. To make matters worse, Judith refuses to take him trick-or-treating so she can get it on with what looks like the offspring of Tim Blake Nelson in a bad wig. Anyway, Mikey goes outside to pout while his mother is out making an honest living. Now you see why she's a stripper? We get it, dude. Your wife is hot. Good soundtrack, though. Upstairs, Steve and Judith are getting frisky when Steve pulls out a new version of the soon-to-be serial killer's mask so he can boink in it. I mean, it is Halloween after all. Also, this changes up the origin of the mask so he doesn't steal it from the hardware store. I guess it's an okay change? Back downstairs, Michael is duct taping Ronnie's drunk ass to his chair, with Ronnie not waking up until Michael slits his throat. Like a true booker, Michael is saving the main event for last, and in order to do that, he has to get Steve out of the picture. While making a snack, Michael sneaks up on Steve with a baseball bat and beats him over the head in an overly violent way. Steve even gets a few little foot jerks in there for proper effect. I don't know, Mikey, are you sure you got him? Damn. Last but not least, Michael makes his way upstairs and ditches his clown mask for Steve's mask, finally making it Facebook official. He decides to get a little bit pervy with Judith though, but after she smacks him, he plunges that big kitchen knife right into her gut. He toys with her for a few as she heads down the hall in a scene I wish they would have done differently. He looks way too fucking goofy in that big mask walking down the hall. It's not even the slightest bit disturbing. Anyway, Michael finishes her off after a few more slashes and gashes, and we finally get to the beginning of where the original movie first started. The only one left in the house is Baby Boo, who Michael spares and seems to be the only other person besides maybe his mom that he actually loves. And speaking of mommy, Deborah gets home from sexy dance time as Michael sits on the front steps holding baby Angel and acting unresponsive to his mother. We then get stylized clips that only Robert Zombie can do of news reporters, Deborah crying, and the bodies being wheeled out on stretchers. The last shot is of Michael in the back of a cop car as he turns to face the camera. After a lengthy trial, we fast forward 11 months to Smith's Grove, where Michael has been placed into the care of Dr. Loomis, is playing it off as though he can't even remember a damn thing that happened in Haddonfield. We slowly see Michael during this time growing more dissociative, and his personality disorder also becomes more severe. He starts making more papier-mâché masks, hiding behind them, and eventually stops talking altogether to both Loomis and his mother. We also get introduced to Danny Trejo's character Ismail, who tries to befriend Mikey.
You gotta look beyond the walls. You know, learn to live inside your head.
One day, Deborah decides to head home after a visit with Michael, and Loomis walks her out as a nurse watches over him. The hospital, for whatever reason, decided to give this f***ing kid a real fork instead of a plastic one, and as she turns her back to him, he stabs her in the neck. As sirens sound, Loomis and Deborah head back to find out what he's done. After the attack, it seems to be the breaking point for poor Deborah, who feels like she's lost everything, and while crying and watching old home movies later that night, she takes her own life. Poor baby boo. We fast forward 15 years and Michael has grown into a strapping lad of 6'8". Holy shit. Dr. Loomis informs this big freak that he's been taken off his case and will no longer be treating the masked mute. No, in fact, this Loomis has more pressing issues, like writing books and glorifying mass murder for profit. Soon after, we see some more Rob Zombie alumni playing Smith's Grove security guards, including the one and only Bill Moseley. Also seen is Leslie Easterbrook of Police Academy fame. Fun fact, these characters are missing from the director's cut entirely. In this cut, the breakout scene is much better than that rapey scene we get in the director's cut, and as guards are moving Michael through the facility, Michael pulls a Fleetwood Mac and breaks the chains, but in a literal sense. He punches Bill Moseley in the beak and smashes another dude's head into the door repeatedly. The third guard gets blasted by Sergeant Callahan herself in a real dum-dum moment, and for her transgressions, Michael gives her a nice throat rip. You know what just occurred to me up until this point? Michael has been borderline portrayed as the hero in this movie. Like the characters in this movie, at least in the first half, all deserve to die. And if you watch the director's cut, they definitely deserve to die. Maybe aside from Deborah, who isn't entirely free of guilt, they have all been like the worst human beings imaginable. And not just to Michael, in general. And one of those rare moments in this movie where a character isn't a total piece of shit, Ismail returns to find some more dead security guards but completely misses poor Gloria that also suffers from a neck rip. Man, what the hell is this, Roadhouse? Man, she was probably just on her break too.
Stay on it.
Ismail does what he thinks he needs to do, although he's scared out of his mind and tries to cuff Michael back up. It doesn't go so well for him though, because Michael gives him the old dunkaroo in a nearby sink before smashing his head with an old TV Stu Macher style. Sorry Danny Trejo, but you know the rules. You have to die in every movie. Kinda like Sean Bean. After his escape, Michael finds a nearby truck stop so he can get out of that dirty robe and into some better killing clothes. There, he finds trucker Joe Grizzly, played by actor Ken Foray, who's just trying to stare at some nudie pics and pass this beast in peace. Michael and his dirty feet doesn't know the meaning of privacy, however, and provokes a fight with Mr. Grizzly.
I'm gonna cut that mask right off your face.
Now this is actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And fun fact, these two mountain men actually did their own stunt work in this. And apparently, they tore the hell out of that bathroom. Michael ends up taking out Joe and steals his duds, somehow not getting a drop of blood on those coveralls at all. That's pretty talented work there, Mikey. It's finally Halloween day and we're introduced to the new Laurie Strode, played by the lovable Scout Taylor Compton, who's showing she's not as uptight as Jamie Lee Curtis's version. On her way to school, much like the original, she meets Tommy Doyle on the street. The second half of this film isn't a shot-for-shot remake, but it's very much close to its counterpart going forward. It may not seem too original, but it does have enough new stuff here to keep you somewhat interested for a little while. The main issue is when they try to echo some of the similar shots. Unfortunately, they're just all done in much poorer ways. Laurie drops off the keys at the Myers house where Michael has already made it back and retrieved the old kitchen knife and Steve mask from under the floorboards. I guess he must have hid them there after the murders? Anyway, later at school, Laurie and her friends Linda and Annie are doing the girl talk thing in the library when Laurie spots Michael outside. Good to see he's got some old tricks up his sleeve because he vanishes when Laurie turns away for a second and then looks back down. Super. The girls walk home from school in scenes very reminiscent of the original, but with Michael on foot instead of by station wagon, and this time all three girls see him lurking in the broad daylight instead of just Laurie. We also get our first meeting with Brad Dourif's Sheriff Brackett as he stops to check on the girls here. Back at Smith's Grove, Loomis is being informed of the murder spree/breakout by Clint Howard and Udo Kier, and tells them that he's heading to Haddonfield. Just be glad it wasn't the plumbing this time, Udo.
If I'd been drinking out of the toilet, I might have been killed.
Loomis makes it to Haddonfield and finds Captain Spaulding at his new graveskeeper job when they find a dead animal cross decorating Judith's gravesite. And that right there is enough for Loomis to get prepped or get wrecked. It's nighttime now on Halloween night, and instead of Linda and Bob getting it on at Lindsay Wallace's house, they use the old Myers house to drink and bone. I guess they didn't know the house was occupied again. After a quickie, Bob heads out to get beer from his van and does the whole Ghost Bob thing right after. Michael puts a stop to that shit though, because no one's going to be playing tricks in his house but him. In a callback to the original, we get an even less believable version of the Bob kill when Michael stabs him into the wall, apparently using the largest knife in existence. Dude, what is the deal? We're just supposed to believe that works? Michael, being fresh out of new ideas, decides to steal Bob's ghost gimmick to trick Linda. Somehow she doesn't notice how much he grew during that beer run though. Definitely wasn't the Bud Light, am I right? Anyway, none of that matters because we get treated after Michael's trick. You may not have gotten Bob's ghost, Linda, but you sure got ours. He strangles Linda to the ground, and that's all for her in one of the most lackluster kills in the entire movie, especially considering how violent it usually is. Back at the Strode residence, we get way more family dynamic with Laurie and her folks here, and I have to say that Dee Wallace is great in this movie. Laurie then gets picked up by Annie/Danielle Harris, who I also absolutely love, and as they take off, the Strodes start to head inside. Jesus Christ, Michael! That was quick work. I have to say, this scene totally caught me off guard the first time I watched it. I didn't really expect this much screen time out of the Strodes, let alone both of them dying. Mason gets all slashed up and killed mostly off-screen, and when Michael drags him inside, Cynthia's in absolute shock. She barely has any time to process what just happened as Michael corners her. Michael gives her a nice little merciful neck snap and another weak kill of this movie, and just like that, poor baby Boo is an orphan again. Michael makes his way over to the Wallace house where he creeps behind Lindsay for a spell. He follows her and Annie across the road to the Doyle house and observes the scenery as Paul pulls up. Yeah, so we actually get to see Paul in this movie and not just hear John Carpenter's voice over the phone. And also some more good news. Guess who made it into this timeline too?
His buddy Ben Schramer.
Yep, remember him? Haha, I love it. Yeah, I know we don't actually get to see him in this, but still. Across town, Loomis finally tracks down Sheriff Brackett, who's not happy the not-so-good doctor has exploited the town and the Myers family murders for profit and fame. Loomis finally gets through to him, though, and he makes a phone call to the Strode residence. After the answering machine plays, we see the bloody mess of the corpses left inside the Strode residence, which concerns Brackett enough to check it out. Back at the Wallace house, Annie and Paul get busy on the couch with Danielle Harris reminding us all she's not a little girl anymore. Well, young, I mean. They both exchange some really shitty porn dialogue when Michael, who's apparently seen this one before, grabs Paul and gives him a quick stab to the chest and relieves him from the rest of this movie. Danielle Harris then gets to fight Michael topless, showing off more than those acting chops, but of course, she gets overwhelmed by the giant pretty quick. On their way to the Strode residence, Brackett tells Loomis that in order to save Angel Boo Myers from obscurity, he omitted her from the police report the night of Deborah's suicide and took her to the nearby town's hospital. He only found out 3 months later that his friend Mason Strode adopted the little Boo and named her Lori. Speaking of Lori, she decides it's getting a little too late for Lindsay to be over and takes her back. When they walk in, they find Paul's body strung up with a pumpkin on his head and Annie all curled up bloody and passed out. She is still alive though, so that's a nice little surprise in this version. Lori tells Lindsay to run back to the Doyle house as she calls 911. Sheriff and Loomis hear this over the radio and get rerouted over to the Wallace house. In one scene that I do enjoy, we actually get to see the playful side of Michael Myers as he messes with Paul's body. Fun, huh, Mikey? Michael finds Lori, who has to break the back glass door out to escape. She makes it back over to the Doyle house and holes up in the bathroom with the kids. The police arrive in record time because Hollywood, I guess, but it has zero effect anyway and Michael makes quick work of both of them. Michael breaks in and takes Lori, and after she's somehow knocked out or passed out or something, he carries her down the street as more sirens sound off in the background. Loomis and Brackett arrive shortly after to find Annie lying on the floor still alive. As an ambulance pulls up to help her, the kids tell Loomis that Michael took Lori. He runs off into the night as we transition over to the Myers house where Lori is waking up from her nap. In order to give us some more nudity in the film, she finds Linda's body on some dirt floor area of the house with a Myers headstone cross against the wall. After Michael drops the knife and demasked, he shows her a picture of the two of them as kids. Unfortunately for him, Lori doesn't understand what the hell is happening, so she lures Michael in, grabs his knife, and plants one right into his shoulder. She escapes through the hole in the wall as Michael masks back up for another round of hunting, and you know he's gotta be pissed. She finds her way outside into an old drained pool in the backyard and wait a minute, how the f do they have a pool in their backyard? Damn, Deborah, you be stripping that good? That shit is deep, too.
Phrasing.
Michael corners her in the pool and Loomis shows up right in the nick of time. Loomis shoots Michael and leaves him lying on the pool floor, but as he puts Lori into the cop car, Michael busts through the window and grabs Lori. Loomis manages to talk Michael down long enough to release Lori, but gets a good head squeeze for his reward. With Loomis down but not out, Lori grabs his gun and runs. The chase scene here is kind of tense, and I do enjoy it for the most part, but I'll leave it a little bit short in the interest of time, and I'll tell you, she winds up in the attic with Michael using a 2x4 to try and get her down. She does fall through the floor eventually, and as she slowly gets up, she uses what little strength she has left to aim her gun at Michael. In a series first, I'm pretty sure, Michael charges at Lori, sending them both out onto and over the balcony onto the front lawn. Lori comes to after a few moments with Michael seemingly out cold, and as she straddles Michael, she aims the gun at his head. Michael comes to and grabs her arm right as she pulls the trigger, sending Lori into an absolute shit fit. Police sirens sound during the Rob Zombie-esque freakout sesh as the movie cuts to credits and flashbacks of old home movie footage. And that was the hillbilly version of Halloween, written and directed by Rob Zombie and released in 2007. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was actually the first Halloween movie that I got to see in theater, as it was released right after I graduated high school. And to be honest, I remember even then being on the fence about this movie. I do think that everything in this movie does fit its style very well. I will say that much. You know, the mask, the large Michael Myers, the gritty nature of the film, I get it. My pros for the movie, as always, will go to the lovely Scout Taylor Compton and Danielle Harris, who I absolutely love, and I hope to actually get to meet one day. It's just unfortunate that horror cons usually don't come close to where I live. Another pro for this movie is the lighting and the atmosphere, especially in the later half of the movie. There is one thing I can give to Rob Zombie in most of his movies is the style. He does have a specific style, and while I don't always love it, and it doesn't always work, when it does, it really works well. And lastly, for my pros, the soundtrack and the score is extremely good. It also fits really well in this movie, and let's be honest, who doesn't want to hear God of Thunder in the opening shots of any movie ever? Now, with that said, the latter also kind of plays into my cons as well, and I hope I don't sound too contradicting here. I do like that, but because of this, it also doesn't feel like a horror movie. I mean, it's violent, sure, but it just really isn't that spooky. The music really isn't that suspenseful to me until the later half of the film, and by that time, it's a completely different film anyway. It's Halloween. The first half of the film was Rob Zombie trash. I also hate more than like half of the characters, at least, in this movie. And it's a little off-putting when what's supposed to be the villain of the film is portrayed as like almost heroic. Don't get me wrong, I mean, we watch these for Michael just like we watch Friday for Jason or Nightmare for Freddy, but you still have to have that dynamic in the story. To quote Randy Meeker for a moment, there are rules. The dialogue and the overall presence of these characters are complete trash, and it's hard to get past it sometimes. I really don't think you need a character in a movie that says he's gonna skull fuck somebody. I don't get offended by anything, and I'm not a prude by any stretch, but damn. It's just weird. And last but not least for my cons, Michael Myers. Hashtag not my Michael. His style, his size, it all works for this film really well. I won't deny that. But it's just a no for me, dog. And I get when people say he's scary because he's so damn big. I get that. I mean, if a dude that big had me cornered in real life, I'd probably shit my pants too. But like I kind of said earlier, I expect that out of somebody who's 6'8". But I find it scarier and way more mysterious when the dude's 5'11", 6'-footish. That smaller version plays more to that supernatural side of the franchise that I much prefer over this one. I do think that's one of many reasons why the first and second movies work so well. And for that reason, I give Rob Zombie's Halloween a 3 out of 5. You know, it really caught me off guard when I picked this movie up at DVD release and it was the director's cut. I'm like, oh cool, some extra footage, you know, made it longer. Boy, was that a mistake. The runtime extended to, I think, over 2 hours, and that's extremely long. That's way too long for a slasher movie. And I could watch Michael Myers all day, but in a single movie, that's just way too long, man. And it's also weird that you would cut those special cameos out during the breakout scene in the theatrical version and pick this rapey scene over that. Weird. I definitely believe the theatrical version is the way to go. I think it's a little hard to find that copy if you like physical media, but if you can, get it somehow, buy it on Vudu or whatever, go that route. The exact opposite could be said, however, for the next installment. That's right, next time I will be covering that dumpster fire of a movie that we call Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, White Horse and all. And even Rob Zombie's hot-ass wife can't save this. You're not gonna want to miss it, I promise you. So until then, thanks for watching, and stay sane. Hey guys, just real quick, I wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who supported me so far and who thanks for watching this. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. We're almost done. We're going to be getting to the Halloween trilogy real soon, and then beyond that, we're probably going to throw in the Friday the 13th or something. I don't know. I might take a poll, but we're getting there. If you like this, please be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of Rob Zombie's Halloween in this video, and I'll see y'all next time.